Good evening. You know, I have a lot of opportunities to stand before the media to discuss cases that our office is involved in. Um, but I can tell you, even though every single case is significant, coming into this office, there was no case more significant than the case of Urbanski. And it was because, not because of him, but because of this young man, Lieutenant Richard Collins III, who was taken not just from his family, but his entire community and this country. Was a bright young man who wanted to serve his country. He made his parents proud. And now his parents will live out his legacy of service and commitment to this country. And I'm excited that they're with us today, and you'll hear from them shortly. We knew that the prosecution of this case was not going to be easy. Getting a first-degree premeditated murder conviction is not easy. But what I knew is that I had a great team of prosecutors here in Prince George's County. And I can tell you that my principal deputy, Jason Abbott, and my chief of homicide, Jonathan Church, are two of the best attorneys, not just in this county, not just in this state, but in this country. And that's why I signed them to this case, because I knew that we had to get justice. We had to get a victory, because this case was more than just about Lieutenant Collins. It was about righting an injustice, because we understand and we know that Lieutenant Collins was targeted because he was black, because he was talented, because he was accomplished, because he was going to make his mark on this world. And we know that there are people out there who cannot tolerate a black man in that position. His life was cut short, but his legacy lives on. And I thank the family for believing in us and being with us. I thank my prosecutors. I also thank our staff. And let me just say that Ashley Watson, who's a paralegal in our office, worked tirelessly on this case. Now, you may not have seen her in the courtroom, but behind the scenes, she worked to help put this case together. In addition, Teresa Middleton, who heads up my victim witness coordinator unit, amazing job keeping the family connected to our office, informing them of every stage of this trial so that we can bring justice to this family, and we can do so compassionately. And Mike Hall, who heads up our demonstrative evidence unit. I don't know if most of you were at the trial, but I can tell you that a picture speaks 1,000 words. And the videos that we use as evidence in this case, and along with the pictures and images, told the story. So we are a team. We are Team SAO, that's what we call ourselves, but we are a team that is committed to getting justice for Prince George's County, and today, justice was served. Now, Mr. Urbanski will be sentenced on April 16th of 2020, so that's next year, in a few short months. And we will be seeking life without the possibility of parole, because he was convicted of first-degree premeditated murder. And we believe this is the appropriate sanction for that particular conviction. So usually you don't hear from my principal deputy and my chief of homicide often at these press conferences, but this is one of those cases that they may never try another case like this in their lifetime. And I want them to be able to talk to you about what it meant to try this case, how difficult it was, how challenging it was, but also how rewarding it was to be able to represent the Collins family, Lieutenant Collins, and our office. So.
Well, good afternoon. It's a difficult case. It was a difficult case to try. The defense, they were formidable and they made very, good arguments just in support of their case. But this case was really important. Ms. Braveboy, when she came into office, inherited a lot of important cases, a lot of cases that meant a lot to the community. And this was a very important case to our community. I think from the time that she took office, several members of the community voiced their interest, their concern about this case. Lieutenant Collins was a person that affected a lot of people, and because of the way he lived his life, the way he was raised by the Collins family, this case was really important to so many people, not just in our county, but throughout this region. And it was really, trying the case was difficult, but it was worth it because we had an opportunity to meet the Collins family. They gave us good insight into the type of person that Lieutenant Collins was, and it was really important to help try to bring them some peace in some form, and I hope that we were able to do that with this verdict.
Thank you. John.
Good afternoon. It was a privilege and an honor to work on this case with the State's Attorney's Office, and I appreciate Ms. Braveboy's confidence in me and Mr. Abbott. I will say that it was very enriching or enlightening to bring forth probably some very dark things that happen in social media and what they do to people. And it was good to be a part of shedding some light on that in hopes that that changes things, that narrative changes things for the rest of us. They're just some dark and horrible things. So it was a privilege to try this case. The result was the right result, and we're thankful that the jury saw it the same way we did.
Thank you. And I know that our good friends, our family, they're part of Team SAO now. They know that. The Collins family, I don't know if both of you want to speak or...
Thank you. Let me begin first by saying thank you to the State's Attorney, Braveboy, for a fantastic job, not just in carrying out the case, but in the way that they helped us every step of the way through the process. And I just want to say we're very thankful for you. I also want to thank the prosecutors, Jason Abbott and Jonathan Church, for doing a fantastic job. It's been a long road, but we're very pleased with the results. And I also want to extend thanks to all the family that have been here every step of the way, the friends, church family, both local and extended, and family around the country. I just want to say thank you to each and every one of you. And we are looking forward to the journey ahead because this is only the beginning. So let me just say we appreciate all the support that we've received throughout this horrific time in our lives, but it's made it so much easier just knowing so many people cared and were willing to express that to my wife Dawn and I. So we thank you.
Thank you. So we can answer questions. I also wanted to thank Pauline, who is an advocate attorney who works with victim families, and I want to thank her for being by the family side, explaining all the different legal maneuvers we were engaged in, and also making them feel comfortable as this process was a 2-year process, and so we appreciate all of the advocacy and assistance that you provided as well. And so, any questions? Yes.
As you know, a first-degree murder conviction is based on intent rather than motive. And the judge yesterday threw out one of the counts in the case. In your opening statements, you said that Mr. Collins, that Second Lieutenant Collins, was targeted because he was black. Can you help us understand that?
Well, as was stated during the case, the defendant approached and stood in front of Lieutenant Collins. He stabbed and killed him while he allowed his friend, who happened to be white, who was with him, to leave. And in fact, Jonathan Church today demonstrated and showed actually the video where he makes this motion to his friend. So if he intended to kill anyone other than Lieutenant Collins, then he would have done that, and he didn't. Yes. Yes.
Excuse me, Ms. Brayboy, as Augustine was stating, a hate crime charge was dropped. What was your reaction when you?
Well, let me just say this. The judge granted a motion for judgment of acquittal on that particular charge, and we disagree with the judge's decision. We respect it, but we respectfully disagree. I believe that he thinks that the hate crime statute required us to prove that the murder only happened because Lieutenant Collins was black and that there was no other reason. We believe that that was something that the jury could have decided, so we disagree with striking that particular charge. However, one of the things that we will do as an office is push the legislature to amend the hate crime statute to make it clear that anyone committing an offense, whether it's the only reason or one of many reasons that someone commits a crime against another, that that individual should be held accountable and should be able to be charged with that hate crime. Yes. Yes. Well,
We're
Well,
deferring the questions.
they want to know about your son.
Can you say something about him for those who don't know who he is, please? Thank you.
Briefly, yeah, I'll say that, our son was a kind and loving individual. I mean, he cared about all people, and he really didn't see color. That wasn't something. He didn't see color. He didn't see gender. He didn't see any of those things. He wanted to be friends with the world, and that's just who he was. That's who he was every day of his life, and we miss him dearly. Our hearts are broken, but we know that he loved us and we loved him, and we want the world to know that we're going to continue to fight for his legacy.
Thank you, Ms. Collins.
Yes.
Yeah, I have a question for Richard's mom. Just because I saw you shaking your head when the state's attorney talked about going to Annapolis and trying to change the law, but I know this case has been about more than the killing of your son. It's been about more, much more than that, and you're disappointed when the hate crime charge was dropped. Could we see you carrying on his legacy, perhaps lobbying in Annapolis, maybe this session, maybe another one? You were shaking your head.
Absolutely.
This session. This session.
Absolutely. This session.
This session.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Could you step to the mic, I'm sorry, and just say what your intention is in terms of changing the law?
I don't know all that I will do, but absolutely we will be doing something.
Yes.
Question to the parents also. So this was a very wrenching trial, and you were also in close proximity with the defendant's family. And I'm curious if you could just share your thoughts about the impact on them, what you were thinking as you were looking at the defendant.
No comment.
No comment. Any further question? Oh.
I mean, do you all feel that justice was served here, or do you feel deprived because Urbanski was not convicted on this hate crime count?
Well, let me just say this. The first-degree murder was the lead charge, okay? The maximum penalty for a conviction for first-degree murder is life. We've made application earlier this year for life without the possibility of parole. So we are seeking that. So do we believe that this was a hate crime? Absolutely. Was that part of our case for first-degree murder? Absolutely. I believe that the jury, in reaching its verdict, also took into consideration the hate, the bigotry, the intolerance, the horrific images that this young man decided to save on his phone, the alt-right nation, the pro-Hitler group that he decided to become a member of. So while the judge struck that particular account, the fact is The jury took all of that into consideration, including the hate, in reaching its verdict. And we believe, our office believes that justice is served, and we hope that the Collins family believes the same. But I can tell you that because of this case, I believe that we will be able to make changes in Annapolis with respect to our hate crime statute. So not only can, someone like Richard Collins get justice on this first-degree murder charge, but other people in our community in the future will be able to get the justice that they deserve as well.
And just for clarification, in this particular case, is there some sort of an appeal that you can do to bring to get the hate crimes back in, or are you just totally moving forward?
Look, the maximum penalty for first-degree murder, the lead charge, is life.
I understand.
We're asking for life without the possibility of parole. There are no further years that he can do. So I think we're satisfied, and we will be seeking that in April. Yes. Any further questions?
Can you guys speak to what the world lost by losing your son?
Yeah, just a hero, our hero, and this country's hero.
And say the hero part again.
Briefly, we know that he was dedicated to serving in the military. He was excited to embark on his career. He had already made plans for what he was going to do. He already had orders, and he was awaiting training for those orders. And he was extremely excited and enthused. So we know that he was going to be a great officer and a great asset to this country.
But is there a hope that, and the assistant state attorney was talking about social media, the influences. There was a lot of talk of poisoning of Urbanski's mind, kind of the radicalization of his thinking process. What are your thoughts when it comes to social media and the impact of these supremacist groups and how it has impacted your family?
Yeah, I prefer not to comment on that at this time.
So if we could just limit the remaining questions to the state's attorney and everybody else, I think the family is not.
Do you want to speak to Tracy's question?
Yeah, I can. I think this case will set a precedence across the nation. I think this case will be studied, will be looked at. I think the arguments that my prosecutors made in this case, I think that other state's attorneys across this country will look to this case and make similar arguments. I think this is what justice requires. We're taking the lead on justice. We tried this as a hate crime. We said that as part of the first-degree murder charge that this was about hate, so the motive was hate. So regardless of whether or not that particular count was struck or not, the reality was that this case was always about intolerance. It was always about hate. The jury understood it, and that is why the jury convicted him. They weren't out very long because it was plain to see what had occurred here. And so we believe that this case will set a precedent across the country. Any further questions? Thank you. Good work.
Does anybody need us to leave the photo up for a little bit, for a few minutes or anything?
It was nice to meet you. I finally hear to see the man behind the voice. I listen to you all the time.
That's a good thing.
That's a good thing. And you recognize it, which is important, right?
Yeah.
Oh, wait, I want to, can I get a picture?
Oh, I thought you were.
Oh, yeah.
Sure.
Well, you did just offer.
Oh, you
Yeah,
did just say
no,
that? Nope.
yeah.
I'm not going to move anything.
Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
Oh,
Jen, because it was about the conversation down.
you can, They spelled your name wrong in case search. I've been going, I know, I've been going by that. I'm so sorry. That's what I went with. That's a wrap. I know, there's a